Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the HR Development Day. Also, welcome to this session. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to have an interesting session based on true stories, as it says, and it is about culture transformation. It's based on true stories because there's 15 years of intensive work with different industries that we try to compress within this session. And of course, it is important to know what is the how in how to make a successful culture transformation. I'd like to welcome Ivan Dmitric to this session. Ivan currently works as a managing partner in human synergistics. And what is more important, he will tell us what are the critical culture transformations. Welcome, Ivan. Thank you for being a part of HR Week. And thank you for making us curious to hear what is it that is actually based on true stories in this case study.
Thank you, Alexandra, for warm intro. Welcome, everybody, and good morning, everybody, at least for those of you who woke up sooner. So, we have an interesting title. Hopefully, the content will be also interesting for you. At least we try to compress or somehow blend our experience and knowledge in the region in the last 15 years with a couple of, let's say, bold statements around cultural transformation. And also we try to make it look interesting and engaging for you, even though this is not so interactive. And hopefully some of you will ask for questions or any kind of interaction, which will bring me feeling that you are there. So if everything is okay, Alexandra, I would start with a presentation. So this is our title. It's really based on a true story.
Whenever you're ready, you can start.
Okay. So it's really based on a true stories, and I will not be able to, of course, share some of the, let's say, insights. Who are the actual people in the situation, but I will give my best to bring you the very nature and reality of these cases. Before we start, I would just use a minute or two to introduce myself and ourselves. So we are here for 15 years in the region, and we work, I would say, intensively with companies and organizations who are trying to improve the way how they work, to improve their results. So we are active in the area of organizational development. And you can see the numbers. We have really a lot of experience and a lot of interaction recently, not recently, but in the last 15 years, with the people describing their cultures, people assessing their leadership styles, the impact that they have on their cultures and people around them. We did in this time of being active in this region, we did a couple of organizational culture conferences. We conducted 2 national researches around organizational cultures, which had around 100 participating organizations. So we believe we understand, not fully, but to great extent understand the culture in the region, the reasons why cultures exist the way how they exist, and we are looking forward to share these insights with you. We consider ourselves experienced because we had the chance to meet many let's say management board members, many CEOs, many people who tried to improve their organizations. And in our introduction and description around this presentation, we stated that only 30% of organizational cultural transformation are successful, and there is a reason for this. And hopefully you will get the value out of these inputs, which we will share with you. So we are experienced, and we try to make this different. As you can see, the layout of my presentation is about film lovers or fans of the films, movies, which we are definitely in our company. So try to guess from which movies some of these statements are basically quoted or they come from. And the first one won't be that tough. Before that, just to share with you our let's say our mission, which is to change the world around us, to change the environment, and to change how people work together, how they interact, and how they approach their work and people around them, in order to make the world a better place by one organization at a time. So we focus not so many. We cannot focus on not so many organizations, because cultural transformation is really intensive and tough work to do. So the first title is, I said already this, that these are really real people and actual events, but we changed a bit everything. So starting with the first one, you know nothing, Jon Snow. This is a bit bold, saying that we don't know enough around the cultures, and at least the culture as a phenomenon, or the culture of our organization. But this is quite true. Culture is really in topic, and everybody's talking about this, at least for last, let's say, 10 years. But not so many, let's say, views and angles are really true and realistic about what culture is. Culture is a complex phenomenon, and it's influenced with many things. So we often, let's say, switch from culture to climate. We switch from engagement to culture. We switch from the leadership to culture. Yeah, it's connected, but we need to know what the culture really is, and this is one of the things that we face often, that people do not know what culture exactly is. And we don't have time today to go through this, but I would be happy, and we would be happy to share any of our insights around what culture is. Actually, there is a good white paper of what is culture on our website, so I invite you to visit it and find it there. That's one thing. The other thing is that organizations and their top teams are not aware how their culture really looks like. And I will show you soon the examples, how different the views are between the top management around the current culture and the employees around the current culture. And if there is if there is any group of people who has an unrealistic view about the culture, about the reality, if you want, it's the top team, and sometimes also the HR people, because they get so many inputs and they try to combine them. But the real source of the information about the culture is actually what the employees are saying. The next thing is that we need a really good methodology to unveil these invisible things. You know, there was a saying, Edgar Schein said that 10 years ago, if you can measure culture, then you don't measure culture. Thinking and saying that culture is unmeasurable. And Ed Schein is actually recently very good promoter of our methodology, saying that human synergistics has a quite good methodology in measuring culture, actually, not something else. So to prove this about knowing nothing, this is the view of the culture. This is the culture profile. Just to very shortly, green is a passive, aggressive is red, and constructive is blue. Of course, constructive is good. So this is how top management of one organization, certain organization, sees the current culture, and this is how the employees are seeing this culture. So this is, you would say, this is not big difference, but I would tell you that this is a different. Like the constructive styles are 3 times higher in this profile of the employees than for the management. Or another example, this is the view of management, and this is the view of employees. So the first one was a negative view from the management, and then this one is a more positive view, but it's always different. And that's very true. We had the chance to run so many workshops around the culture with the management, and when we have this opportunity to compare the views, there is always greatest difference coming from the manager. So we have to know what culture is, and we have to know what is the culture in our organization. That's one thing, one statement, which without you shouldn't start the cultural transformation. Moving to the next one, we have 7. 7 is a good number, so moving to the second one. This is a nice, nice saying, or at least some of us heard it or say it when we try to break up our relationships. It's not about you, it's about me. the thing is that we want to change our let's say environment by thinking that other people should change it. So we are in a way we should try to create this different view that people should change by starting with ourselves. So this is one of the things that we keep saying very often, that you should change, and this is the way how we can improve everything around us. So the thing is that we have to start with ourselves. And I remember many workshops, particularly one when the CEO was saying a lot about to people that they should change, and this is the way how this company can grow and progress. And actually, this came to big frustration and big, let's say, negative moment for these people to keep the distance or even leave the company. I saw it in this company that after this speech, let's say, some people left because there was a wrong message. I am okay and you are not, so you should change. And there is a positive example. I remember CEO, showing his profile from the assessment and saying, this is the my current state. These are my imperfections. These are my development areas. This is what I have to do in order to improve. So I really need to start with myself. So this is important, that people are starting with themselves and thinking about how they can, contribute to the change and not expecting only others to change. Moving to the next one, the third one, we stated with an interesting statement from one movie: angry men are deciding who lives or dies. And this is all about, guiding coalition. This is about something that we call guiding coalition, meaning that at the top there is a proper alignment about the direction which we want to achieve. In many cases, there is no alignment at the top how we should, work when we want to transform our culture, or where we should go even in transforming our culture. So there is this thing that top management needs to carry out this change, and they cannot be a sponsor or mentor. So they have to be fully on board in transforming their culture. And in many cases, they will tell that they are on board, they will do whatever they need to do. But in reality, this is not happening. So people are seeing that there is a huge gap between what they expect from others and what they do. So a good example of these is that I've seen one management team basically in which the starting point was that only 1/3 of people were going forward with the cultural transformation, and 2/3 were somehow holding back or being against. But by the time they created this good let's say consensus around what should be done, and they created the critical mass in this cultural transformation. So it's important that personal agendas are not over the organizational ones, because when they are over organizational ones, there is no agreement and there is no good decision making how to move forward. And the example which I'm telling you about actually proves what John Nash was saying, and his theory that the best results will come in the group if the people are thinking what's the best for the group and for themselves, not only for them. And this example which I'm sharing with you is really creating the critical mass of the people at the top to be a guiding coalition, to be aligned, and to go forward with the cultural transformation. The next one is without a drop of fresh blood, you can't have internal life. This probably comes from one horror movies, you would say, and yes, it does. So the thing is that I do just like to quote this here, Edgar Schein, the big name in the culture guru, who says that people at the top should start manage their culture, or culture will manage them to the extent that they won't be aware of. The message in here is that we are unaware of our cultures. the culture in which we live and which we create as a top managers is are the for us like the air we breathe. So somehow we are unaware how it shapes us. So we need a kind of perspective from the outside, and this is a bold statement. I wouldn't like to get the mean to send the meaning that cultural transformation is impossible without externals and new people. But the culture is a big resistance to itself, and in order to understand the culture, it's good to have this fresh perspective. And I know organizations who are having this habit, to enrich their management teams with the new people, with promoting the old ones, not necessarily firing them, but having new blood which comes inside the organization to have a, let's say, critical or positively, in a positive way, challenging the way how organization functions and how business is done. So a bit of fresh blood is good, and there is also important aspect in here that we should be cautious that not to create this polarity within new people and old people in the organization, but actually to integrate these differences in order to move forward. The message is behind is that new people are much more open and much more for the changes and much more realistic. So it's the change will speed up and the change will be let's say more successful with having a bit of fresh blood. Moving to the next one. There is a good saying from one of my favorite movies: if you want to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. I've seen many organizations who are aware that some things should be changed, that they have full understanding that some processes and some things are, let's say, not the way how they should be, but they are reluctant to make decisions of changing them because they are trying to avoid any bad things happening and any mistakes happening. So they're trying to avoid failures with these decisions and trying to attract and not trying to attract successes. And change is unpredictable, like it says here, it's messy. So it's not always, that you can control bad things, and you can only have good things happening. So we have to make decisions around, processes, practices, and everyday life. This is what changes culture. The culture won't be changed, just by knowing that we have to change, but we have to make decisions. And I had a chance to see organizations in which I, as a consultant, had to push decision making for their GMs, CEOs, management board members, because they were not brave enough, if you want. They were not believing that the positive aspects will be of greater impact than the negative aspect that they are trying to avoid. So we need to understand that in attracting success, some failures are acceptable, and it's important that we gain more successes than the failures. And changing when things are not working, and taking risks even if you don't have all the info is sometimes the way how we get to the desired results. But the message behind this statement is we have to make decisions around changing and redesigning our ways of doing, not just being aware and waiting that culture will change by itself and by us talking about how it should be changed. Few more. This is one of my favorite, and you know this quote very well, and I'm sure that I won't be saying anything very new. Next time this year will be millionaires. It's time. Culture is a big animal. So it's not a monkey, we say it's elephant. So it's not so quick, and reacts promptly. It's a very big and very slow. So even though we do something about the culture, we end up, by not seeing changes because it takes time. And let me show you the case, the profile of the organization, how they changed their culture and remeasured it every 2 years. And you see, it takes like 4 years to basically see some positive changes, not quick wins. Quick wins will come sooner, but to move from defensive to constructive culture towards more blue, it takes sometimes 5-6 years, and some companies are doing it for decades. I know, for instance, some of our clients are active more than 10 years in improving their culture, of course with some successes and some failures, but it's a long time period. So it's not about next year we will finish everything. And for the end, you know that at the end of the movies there are these credits and bonuses. But before that, let us show you, in order of appearance, what was the movie. Game of Thrones, of course, you know nothing. You need to know more. 12 Angry Men, about jury which needs to reach consensus and have this same unique view over things. It's not about you, it's about me, Seinfeld. Without a drop of fresh blood, you can have internal life. We do what we do in the shadows. Fight Club, my favorite movie. You have to break eggs, and of course, Only Fools and Horses for this one, which we'll know very well. The bonus, the last thing I would like to share before the questions, it's really simple. You don't know everything. We don't know everything. We have 15 years of intensive experience. We have seen many things we didn't expect. We had a strong nerves as well, but still we face new situations, and still we find moments in which surprise us and help us learn more. So don't enter cultural transformation with this view that you have a plan, you need to act. It's more like try and see, and it's more like to be flexible and adapting to situations, but also knowing how to act. So if you need any deeper understanding around each one of these or any of these statements, feel free to contact us, and we will be happy to share our insights with you. So this is the end.
Thank you, Ivan.
3-4 minutes for questions.
This was an interesting presentation. Who doesn't love movie references, especially Game of Thrones? Yeah. I apologize to those who don't like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there are some older movies. There are some older movies in here as well. I hope you had the chance to see them before. And
just to find the right balance.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we had some questions from the audience. Of course, I'm glad we have time to answer them. So one of the first questions was. Could you further elaborate the instrument that you mentioned in your presentation?
Yeah, it's organizational culture inventory. You can have a view and peek on our website. There is a sample of this inventory. Others are saying that this is really unique inventory for measuring culture, because it does measure a culture in the way that asks people what's expected of you in your organization when it comes to behavioral norms, so you can fit in and be like everyone else. So it's organizational culture inventory, registered, of course, and it's 120 items inventory, really measuring the culture. This is how we created these profiles.
Great. We have another question. How about the culture transformation in rigid organizations? What is the advice on this?
Oh, rigid organizations. Many organizations are rigid because initially they try to protect what they have and what's the current status. I think that this has to come from the top. Somehow it doesn't work, and that's why it's on the beginning, this guiding coalition, and that people at the top, at least the critical mass at the top, has to understand that, or have a passion for a change, but has to understand that change is needed. So I think that this rigidity can come, sorry for pronunciation, can be overcome by proper approach from the top. That's my best guess how to act, because that's where everything starts.
Thank you. And let's use this about 30 seconds until the end of the session to answer one more question. Where is culture and transformation heading in general, in your opinion?
I think it's heading, it's influenced by what is around us. And I think it's heading towards potential which people and organizations are having. It's heading for always, we always try to be the better in what we are doing. So I think that there is a kind of natural momentum for improvement, coming from the human nature, but in the collective behavior, becomes really tough. So I think it goes in the positive way. Maybe some things around us like pandemic are speeding it up, or digital transformation, they are speeding it up, but it goes in a direction that we will be talking more about this, and we will be dealing with it even more. And by the way, this whole industry is only measuring the culture is only 30 to 40 years old, 30 to 40 years old, so it's a young, let's say, way of doing things.
Ivan, thank you for your time. Thank you for your presentation. It was refreshing. Thank you for including movie references. And of course, thank you for taking time to provide answers to some of the questions. We had more questions, but unfortunately our time's up. So
I would be open to answer this question if you share it with me, and I can post it somewhere, the answer.
This is great. I'll share with you later. If you're following HR Week, enjoy your sessions.
Thank you.
A quick reminder for the audience, if you want to know more about human synergistics, be sure to go to the expo area and visit their booth. After the next session. Ivan, enjoy your day.
Enjoy the day, everybody. Ciao.